Okay, so today's date is it's August 29th, right? 2019. My name is Daniel Bradfield. I'm the oral historian for the Orange County Regional History Center, and with me is
Alexandra Chichelong. I am one Orlando Oral History Archivist.
And today we're interviewing. You guys want to introduce yourself?
My name is Carmen Rojas. I'm sorry.
Hi, I'm Rafael Rosa-Algarin. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
It just belong to you.
This interview is being conducted as a part of our effort to collect interviews with the Keepers of the Heritage, Puerto Rican Arts Diaspora Collective. Is that close? That's close.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
nice.
Okay. The interview is being conducted at Mrs. Rojas's home in Ocala, Florida. Okay, so to start off, whoever wants to start, who's the oldest family relative that you've ever met?
Oh, my great-grandparents. The great-grandparents, yeah.
So how old were they?
At the time I met him, she was 93. And that's from my father's side, and then from my mother's side, I met my great-grandma, and she was at that time 89, as I remember. I was 5 years old, and the one that I met when she was 93, I was 9 years old.
What do you remember about meeting them?
Wow, they were really old.
Yeah.
For me at that time, you know, I was a child. But the thing is, when she was part of the diaspora of the 50s. So she was living in New York at that time, and the way that she, I remember the way that she talked about the traditions. It was hard for them to keep the traditions alive. And from my mom's side, when I met her, I was 5 years old, and she was very humble, very. It wasn't like poor, but they live in a countryside, and the way that they do the things, the way that they survive from the hard style living, it was impressed for me, and left me with a really good sense of how our ancestor and elder live at that time.
So that would have been your father's grandmother?
Yes.
You met in New Jersey?
Mm-hmm.
So what did she, New York. New York. How did she try and keep those like Puerto Rican traditions alive with her family?
She lived, at that time she lived with her two daughters, and their respective husband and Charles, and they were living in the Bronx, so they have like a different cultures as neighbors, Italians and the Polish from Poland, and they just at that time I saw that I noticed that they in their home they have different they kept the Puerto Rican things to make it Puerto Rican comfortable style living, and the food they kept cooking the food as a Puerto Rican style. So I think that the way that they make like a small Puerto Rico in their home. It was a third-story home, so it was really a big one. But you can see in each story like a really good story of Puerto Rico.
Yeah. So, did they share any stories about their lives with you that you remember?
With me?
Yeah.
No.
Or that you heard about them? Maybe
I heard a lot of stories about when they were living in Puerto Rico, when they was raising in Puerto Rico, and the way that I learned from the history that I took, the social studies and history that I took in the school, I heard a lot of story, I read a lot of story, but here from then, it was really for me good to associate what was the living at that time when they were raising in Puerto Rico, how the things was at that time. They put good effort to develop and live in a society that was learning from the differences being from a colony from Spain and then turning to a colony from United States. So for me it was really interesting that, and I made a good sense of that at that time.
All right. So what about you? What was your...
The eldest relative I know, it was my great-grandfather. He was from Spain, and I didn't have not much contact with him. I met him once when I was probably 5-6 years old, and then the last time that I saw him was when he died. He passed.
Oh, okay.
So that was in my mom's side. My grandmother was raised by her grandfathers from her mother's side, so I met them also during their funeral. That's the strangest things about that. They didn't get in contact. We didn't have in my family, we didn't have the chance to meet our grandfather because he died when my mom was 17. So and you keep hearing histories, and in regard to the other relatives, we have people, family members, aunties and cousins that they were living here in New York, and you get in contact with them, knowing how they keep the traditions and how they keep all the culture that we have, the Puerto Rican culture over there, trying to get to the melting pot of New York and survive pretty much during their life over there. So up to these days, we have some relative living there in New York. Some of them, they move over here to Florida. They're spreading everywhere you can imagine right now. But it's interesting, the way that they keep the island inside of their heart and try to live every day being away from what their culture and their people that they love.
And something interesting is because you end up like meeting all different families, because in our culture, there's a reunion all the Sundays. Probably each family of Puerto Rican have that practice. So you can meet everybody at that time. Probably your grandmother will do cook for family, invite family from the countryside, from the other places, and at that time you was allowed to meet all of them and hear stories about their lives and everything. So it's really interesting the way that we try to keep that in our family, even though we are living far from Puerto Rico. We're not living in Puerto Rico, but we try to raise our kids doing that.
Okay, I'm going to come back to that later when we see. But I wanted to ask more about that. So I know you mentioned that you had a great-grandfather that came from Spain. So how long have your families lived in Puerto Rico?
Well, they live all the time, forever, I would say. My great-grandfather was originally from Spain, but he met my grandmother mother, and they married over there. But she passed when on labor. And that's why my grandmother went to live with her maternal grandfather parents. So that put everything, in another perspective over there. And the guy living from Spain, he has other kids coming from other relationships,
Gotcha.
and they were a little distance over there. But what was interesting, as they grew up, they start to get all together. My grandfather, according to what my mother said, and my grandmother, he was a family guy. He wants to be in touch with the family, be touching base. So every Sunday, as Carmen said, they were going either one side of the family, trying to be together and spend some times with them. So there are some sad stories that happen. When my grandfather passed away, my grandmother went to ask for help to her dad, and he didn't pay too much attention. He wants my grandma's to give up all the kids. She had 12 kids with my grandfather, and from the same marriage, and my grandmother said, no, I am gonna keep them, and I'm gonna raise them, and I'm gonna make them professional, and that's what she did, So we're very proud to have all the sacrifice that she did for my uncles and aunties, and even my mom, because they were very close as a family up to these days, that every time we travel back to Puerto Rico, they are expecting to see us over there, and if you don't go, you'll be in trouble.
That's a lot of family members at this
Yes.
Yes.
So, and I'll tell you, up to these days, we're still in touch. All my cousins and everything. So you were speaking about the Hurricane Irma that came over here. I just remember I have one of my cousins that was in. It happens that he was in Florida because his wife mother was passing as well. They were in North Carolina, and they came back to Florida, way to go back to Puerto Rico, and they got stuck with Irma in a friend's house. So I said, wait, what are you doing? Why you didn't come? And say, oh, we didn't want to bother, But when that happened, they were gonna leave their house and going to a church. They said, no, nobody, you're not going anywhere. You come on my house right now. So come to my place, and we're gonna spend the night. So that night when he arrived over here, we spent the whole night with a little bottle of wine and talking, and remember all the old times, when we were racing. And when we opened our eyes after the conversation, it was over. It was sunrise already. So, and I said, "Oh my goodness, we didn't sleep anything." So, okay, let's keep going. Let's see what's gonna happen over here. So we were in the waiting of the Hurricane Irma.
In hard times, it was good for family reunion.
I said that the funny part of that was, after he passed Hurricane Irma over here, he flew back with his family to Puerto Rico, and he got married. So
It was crazy.
Yeah. You mentioned that your grandfather passed away. It was young. She had 12 kids. What did your grandmother do for a living?
Well, she was a housemaker, and she was pretty much working as an ironing clothing to the people. Tried to survive with that. My grandfather was a truck driver.
Oh.
So, and trying to survive, she was getting jobs, doing whatever she has to do to try to keep the family together. My oldest auntie, she finished school already, and she was working, and she started to help. And the other uncle that I have, he was studying in New York, drafting. So he spent some time over there, and then when he came back, he was helping.
Gotcha.
And then my mom was almost graduating from high school, and she went straight to work after that.
Okay.
So with the help of the oldest kids, she raised the youngest one.
Gotcha.
Then she made them all professionals, and good and abiding citizens. So that was very important at that time. So and these days too. So
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
No, it is very interesting because our story is kind of similar. Obviously, we are from Puerto Rico, but my great grandfather, he came from Islas Canarias, so he was Spain too, and he.
That's the Canary Islands, right?
Yes.
Canary Islands,
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
islands, yeah. And at the time he came to Puerto Rico, he established a family with my great grandmother. She was a descendant from the Taínos, the native of Puerto Rico. And then the time my grandfather was born, she passed away at that time. So my grandfather was being raised for my grandfather. Then all the story the story that I know, because I was told I was being told about that story, but then he married with my grandmother, and then they have 5 children, and my family is not that big as him, but at that time I considered that it was big, but it was really cool because I met a lot of brothers from my grandmother. Spend time with my uncles. So because of the reunion, the family reunions that they always made at home.
For Puerto Rico's family is very important, and this is pretty much the center, and in your case and in my case, I think that the female figure plays a very important role, and because reality is that they stay at that back in the time they stay at home raising the kids, and everything was going through them. They manage everything from the economy and everything, and they were trying to keep everything together, and I see that in my family. I see that in her family as well, and it is interesting. You go to anywhere in Puerto Rico, and they're going to be saying, okay, we're going to meet in your house, on your house, is all the family coming and having a good time. So I remember sometimes I was in my neighborhood playing as a kid, and I said, okay, it's Sunday, it's time to go to church, and then after that we're going to your grandparents. I said, okay, what we're going to be doing over there? I was expecting that already, because I was going over there and playing with my cousins and everything, so I said, okay, I'm going to have fun no matter what.
So, just whoever wants to start, what did your parents do for a living?
My dad, he was working with a health insurance, and my mom was a housemaker, and he works in the insurance company, in the health insurance company, working with the providers, with the doctors and the medicine guys.
Okay. What about you?
My dad is a contractor, and is a contractor. He's retired already. So, and my mom it was working at sale, so retail sales.
So growing up, were your families religious? How did that kind of play out in like your everyday lives? When did you go to church? How often would you go to church? Were there any like church activities that you would do that weren't like going to mass, anything like that?
Yeah, actually, I'm a Catholic, and came from my parents and the family. So my parents, they taught us religion. We were visiting all the Sundays the mass, and at home it was always. We weren't like reading the Bible all the time, but we were raised about the commitments and having good sense of the good living, the way that you have to
Respect.
Yeah. Basically respect and how you not. I'm looking for this word, coexisting with other persons and other forms of living.
What are you?
So, well, yes, my family they're Catholic and they raised me Catholic, but that was very interesting because I went to a Baptist school. Being Catholics, you know, and going with all the Catholics, tradition. So it was a little shocking at some time. That what they trying to taught us at that time was, you know, no matter what religion you are or everything, you have to respect people, you know, and to the point that I was missing any kind of church, you know, any denomination. And if they tell me, okay, there's gonna be something in church, do you want to go? I say, yeah, why not? Sure, let's go over there and have some time. Right now, we're still Catholic, you know, we are not going every time to church, but as a kid, I was supposed to go because in the school they said, oh, you have to go to church no matter what on Sunday. And but as you raise, you know, as you grow, you know that respect is all about what we want to do, you know. And my opinion is, you know, if I don't go to church every Sunday, it doesn't matter as long as I'm in peace with God and humanity. So I do respect people that they love to go to church and have faith that, you know, they enjoy their time and everything. We try to pass the importance of believing on God to our kids, and they do that. They respect that. They have strong faith, and I think that is more about faith than showing up in church and probably not paying attention to whatever the priest or the reverend could say in the service. So I think that, you know, it's important, better to have my faith and beliefs in God and live according to His word in the Bible. So pretty much.
Okay. Growing up, were your families politically active? Oh, I mean,
They were active one time, and they believe in independence of Puerto Rico, and they were active. But as after the time passed, you know, they start to they back up a little bit more. But right now, with all the political issues that we had lately, you know, they became more active to supporting millennials that they were having big troubles with the governor in Puerto Rico. I don't know if you watched the news.
Yes, I saw the strike. Where it was like a fourth of the island went on strike or something. Like
we were very happy because for the first time in my life, we saw all the Puerto Ricans united for one only reason, committed to make the governor to resign, that because he was corrupt and he disrespect the people over there, dead or alive. He disrespect them, you know, and that was again, you know, when they became active just to support those millennials, that they took that fight, you know, and makes the conscious to that they're not afraid, that they want to go and move on because they want something better. And I think that was a moment of pride. I'm very happy to hear that was the revolution of the summer, and we talk about here.
It was really interesting because the way that we raised was believing that our families was matriarchal.
Matriarchal, yes.
Matriarchal.
It's a hard word to pronounce. I'm a native English speaker. It's a tough one. I get about 50% of the time. I get it. It's totally fine.
So at that time, the governor messed and offended the woman in Puerto Rico.
Not good.
It was crazy. So it was the first time that I saw that that people in Puerto Rico was really into the believing that woman is really important in the families, in the society, and for me that was really, really, I felt great. It felt great. Oh yeah,
So
to
you,
see that.
you mentioned independence was a big thing for like your family at the time. What kind of time frame was that? Was that like before you were born or during your lifetime?
I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
I was a kid. I was probably in the 70s that they were very active.
Yeah.
After that, and that was a very hard time because in Puerto Rico you could not have show up the Puerto Rican flag because that was a crime.
Yes.
Didn't know that.
My father, it happened to my father. My father, his
got
political
pulled over.
views are the same, independent, and he just put a
bumper sticker.
in his car, and he
got pulled
got
over.
tickets like in a probably weekly, right?
Yeah.
And then a friend of him told him, remove the bumper sticker and you will see the difference. And it happened.
Wow.
So at that time, living in Puerto Rico and saying that you feel pride for Puerto Rico or just show your pride through hanging the flag, it was like a crime at that time because the way that it was really hard because the political views was make us all the Puerto Rican pursue the state being state of the United States. So at that time it was hard to do that to show your pride for being a Puerto Rican in your own land.
Yeah.
So, and that was pretty much the memories that we have as kids, the involvement in the politics, Although I have to say, always we talk about politics in the house, things that is going to be affecting the island or what to fix problems. When I went to college and when she was in college, we were involved not in the political area itself, but trying to get things better, and I think that most of the millennials probably could be our kids these days. I think that we opened that door for them to not feel that fear that we did had at that time, because you don't want to be in trouble, and at this point, after the aftermath of the hurricane and going through all the corruptions that we had in the island, they find out we have nothing to lose at this time. So let's fight for this. And I'm very, honestly, I'm very proud of what the job that they did. I think that anybody in the island feel good of the roles that they play during that period of time. And I was telling you, about the revolution of the summer. That's the way they called that movement that happened. I said, well, we're gonna appear in the history books from now in the world history as the revolution that they makes governors to resign in 12 days, singing and dancing and doing yoga and doing different stuff that was so pacific. Nobody dies, and all the revolutions people die, and that was the first one that did not happen. So
yeah, it's been a summer of a lot of like political unrest. There's the Hong Kong protests, the yellow vests in France haven't stopped. There's Puerto Rico. There's an Argentinian general strike. I mean, it's kind of all over the place. Also, Venezuela had protests for like 2 months. I mean, it feels like it's a lot of stuff kind of all at the same time. Puerto Rico obviously had there was a thing at the end. The governor resigned, so there's like a thing. But
yeah, and that was what we really want to know. Have a better future for the kids, for the new generations that is raising, and have a better place to live. So that's very important.
Okay, so let's get to you guys then. So when and where were both of you born?
I born in Arecibo, Puerto Rico is in the north, and I said the most big city in Puerto Rico.
And a win.
I went for November 4th, 1969.
Oh, you and my mom have the same birthday. Yeah. And then when were you?
I was born in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the capital. I'm sorry. We have a joke about that. So I was born September the 2nd, 1968. So Monday is gonna be my birthday.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So yes, that is my hometown. I've been living there all my life. But I met her.
Yay!
So what was Puerto Rico like when growing up? I know you guys came from two different regions. So like, what was it like when you were growing up in that time?
I come from a middle class family. See, my dad works for the family, and it was good. It was good. It was a pretty tranquil life, and my dad teach us work really hard for the things that we want, and it was fun. I have I'm the oldest one. I have two brothers, and for me it was kind of interesting because I always say that my character, I developed my character being raised with with my brothers, two males, because at that time I thought that I was part of the team. Than being another boy. But it was really interesting.
Until you got 13, right?
Until I got my 13 age, my mom says, okay, girls, go to inside the house. Not in the street playing with the boys.
So growing up, did you have like a favorite sport that you liked to play or anything?
Yeah, basketball.
Oh.
My dad was a professional basketball player, so he he taught me that. He says, not me. He said that I was the best of all his kids that play good basketball sport. So
did you keep playing? How long?
No.
Okay.
When I got to the college and everything, that I took those sport apart and kept in the art field.
Okay. All right. So what was San Juan like at the time when you?
Oh, it was fun. I enjoy it. You know, even though I was living I was born in San Juan. I raised up in another small town, and on my elementary through high school years were nice until we moved to college. That it was in the San Juan area, so that's where we both went to college. But being a kid, it was cool. You know, living in a small town. You know, you meet everybody. Actually, she lives over there in that small town too. Even though she was raised, I was born in Arecibo. She was raised in the metropolitan area, and I think I have to say, you know, my kids here were fine and neat. You know, it was hard sometimes because your parents have to work. Sometimes you stay at home trying to keep up, help with everything, and keep going with the family's compromises and keep everything going. As a young adult, it was very fun living in San Juan. San Juan is a very active city, and my thoughts, I know yours is the same. You know, is every weekend you used to go outside, go to the dance places and have music, have fun. You know, meet with the friends and have a good time over there after college. You know, so that was nice. But you have to work. You have to get your compromises and goals together to try to keep going. If not, boy, the party will make you to fail. So, so and we did. I think that we did a great job. You know, you have the family, always the family behind you. Just remember, what's your goals first. You know, put that on top of everything, and you try to keep going with that in your life.
Did you have any? Oh, sorry, go.
It's okay. Just because I have a kind of a follow up to what you said about the being from San Juan and the biggest city of. So I was wondering if there's some kind of rivalry between districts. You know that in Puerto Rico, like, do people say, "Oh, these people are like that, and these people are like that"? You know,
It is.
When we were young, it was like that. If you come from the island, it's the same island, but if you come from the island, that means all the cities, all the towns that doesn't belongs to San Juan, you were like kind of different, but it wasn't, and it was probably a race. It raised like competition between the youngest, but
well, and the idea was who is the best, you know, and people from San Juan, being a capital, they said that, oh, we are the best. Actually, with her town, it wasn't that much. There's another town in Puerto Rico, it's called Ponce. So those people are the big rivals of the San Juan people. They are fierce. They said that their city is the best one, you know, and the rest is parking. So that's what they have that saying. So
San Juan is San Juan, and the rest is the island.
yeah,
Right, yeah.
that's what we used to do in that time. So
at that time, yeah. But
but right now, you know, as you grow, you have respect for everybody, but Ponce. Ponce for them, you know, any town is small, is this, and they are the best one, and you know, it's amazing the way that they have that pride for their city.
And that's probably explain why we are so proud now that we see that all the island comes together in one.
That's true.
In one message to give to the world. That's why probably that will be an explanation of
And
why.
I think that once you start to live outside of the island, you see everything from another perspective. You miss any corner
Oh yeah.
of the island. You know, last time we went to Puerto Rico was we went in December, right? Last December. So and we were trying to get difference, but we have only 1 week to go. And in top of seeing the family, going everywhere, you try to accommodate your time through that area, and you don't want to waste time.
And then we went with our kids, and they wants to, you know,
go everywhere.
Go everywhere, visit all the places that we've been always talking to them about. We were in the beaches or in the forest or in
Anywhere.
any town that we spend with the festivals and everything. So they wanted to see all that in just 1 week, and then we have family that wants to see us. So it was crazy, but
And the other day, my daughter sent us a pictures of places. I said, "Guess where is this picture was taken?" I said, "Don't recognize the place." So that was in Puerto Rico. We need to go. We need to go to that place. And you know, she's being added to the list. Every time we go, we need to go to other places. You know, and it's not necessarily the San Juan area. That's where everybody goes. You know, and there's some hidden places in the island that you want to go, you want to see, you want to explore, you want to spend time over there. There are some people that they want to stay and live there. So, and I don't blame them. You know, for us, it's harder every time we have to depart and come back over here because you left part of your heart in that.
yeah, we miss so much. Yeah.
So how did both of you become interested in art?
Well, I went to the college, and that's my major. I'm an art teacher, and my
No, but before you went to college, how did you first
before,
become interested?
yeah. Well, I was raised in a family that see the things pretty much all the time different than the other people. They are not. They are conventional, but not conventional, not too conventional. So that helped me, and to develop like a sense to see the things in a different ways. My grandmother, she was a haute couture, and she did dresses for festivals, and she was really very creative. And at the time that she was working for those festivals, I was helping her to do the dresses and everything. And I saw the way that she just from her thoughts doing the design in a paper, and she never taught classes of art or drawing or anything, just was a self-taught person, and she designed all those beautiful dresses for festivals. I mean, they were like a really
Big gowns.
big gowns, and with all the decorations, and all of that was made by herself. So
Wow.
it was really interesting. And at that time, I remember that I was amazed the way that she did the probably wings very big for the Princess Parade, and it was made all of hangers, the wire of hangers.
Yeah.
She was working with that in one time, and she covered up everything and make it look like a huge, beautiful wings for
Feathers and
for the princess of the parade. So it was really interesting, and I was always kept that looking after her for all the creative that she was.
in my case,
It inspired me. Mhm.
I was very interested since as a kid. Always, you're coming from a family that has a limited budget, and during the summers you have to find out what to do. So you start to work on that, and I know this is your case too. So we were trying to build stuff. My dad being working in the constructions, you get some access to some stuff, and you start to build up your own stuff and create different objects, and trying to see what is going to come out. Try to spend your time doing something, and it's interesting because I didn't pick the art as my professional way of living. I'm a physician, and but I always got involved in the art one way or the other, and so as you grow up, you're still going on that. I love to draw, I love to paint and construct some of the stuff, although I love science. And I think that, being a physician is I developing the art of healing and try to work with that area. Although I love the beauty of the creation that she does, I help her, and I think that that's very important for me. It's interesting because after I graduated from college, we went to the same college. We never met in college, and we have common friends, and
It was the art.
One day we were hanging out and with one friend, and the next day she was hanging out with the same friends, so we never met together. Actually, I went to her uncle's and auntie's house, and I spent some of when I was doing my confirmation in church, it was in her auntie's house, and we never met over there. So we met after I graduated from college. I was in my way to go to med school. I was doing a class of stained glass. I was teaching that class of stained glass, and she came to take the class with me. And that's when we met them, and since then we've been together.
So he was my professor.
So after we have that interaction, I was in my ways to say, okay, I have to go to med school, trying to figure out which med school I was going, and she was in that part that she was going to do a master in art, and we said, okay, let's see, and we start to think what we're gonna be doing, why we don't go here or there, you know. And after the first year, that's where just was when we became we started to date formally. So
yeah, at that time I was in Mexico to pursue my master's degree, but I didn't stay. So I came back to Puerto Rico, and at that time I started to work in the public school system, and I was interested by stained glass, so that's why I went to take the class with him, and at that time I met him.
Why did you decide not to continue in Mexico?
Because the culture was very, very hard for me to understand, to stay. I felt at that time that they were so misogynist. And for me, coming from different beliefs, a different culture, even though we're Hispanic, we are very different culture. And the field that I was pursuing, it was sculpture. So the way that at that time, the way that they see the women, it was really hard and different. And for me, at that time, I thought it will be really problematic and to stay there. So I came back to Puerto Rico, and then after a year, yes, I start another master's degree in the educational field.
Okay. So were you always interested in sculpture, or?
Yes. I have a bachelor's degree in arts in educational field, but I made a minor in sculpture. And one of my mentors was Pablo Rubio. He's an international recognized sculptor, and he had a sculpture in different countries. And the experience with him was so incredible. I love it, and from that experience born for me the beliefs that I love sculpture and metal sculpture.
Okay. So you go to med school.
yes, sir.
And then you graduate. What happens after that?
Okay, we married at my last year of med school.
Okay.
My last semester, went through internship, and then after that I was working with health insurance company for a while, and then working in emergency rooms and in 3 different hospitals, to the point that I was worn out. I was working pretty much every day without any rest day, because over there you have to go different ways when you're working on yourself. And to the point that one time I have friends living here in Florida, and they told me, hey, such and such are living over there, working over there, and they have openings, positions. Do you want to try? I talked to another friend, and she get the position, and a year later she called me, hey, we need you here, you need to come over here. So that's when we were making the decisions to move to Florida.
So what year was that?
That was in 2006.
2006.
You know, and before I was working in 3 emergency rooms, having my own office, and seeing patients. And she had an art school, and but that's when the economy crashed, and we said, okay, we need to try to move on and try to survive from here. You know, since that time, you know, 2005, economy started to get bad in the island. You know, up to these days they are trying to survive and try to get off that recession. You know, that has been harder for them. You know, so we move over here trying to get better opportunities, and finally we get good opportunities over here. So
Just because, I mean, I like writing out like chronological stuff as much as I can. So what year did you guys get married?
1996.
1996. And when did you graduate college?
1992.
92.
and I graduated in 1990 and went med school in 1993.
Okay. All right. Okay. So, how did you get interested in art education instead of just, you know, what could you have just been like a studio artist or something like that, or how did you get interested?
No, I was always interested in arts, but when I got to college, the strange thing is I got to the college to study odontologist.
Oh.
Yes, because part of my family always told me, oh, you won't live after the arts, it will be hard for you, you have to pursue another career. And I was saying, okay. And I was looking and I said, okay,
Odontologist, yes.
odontologist, it's good for me, I like it. Okay, let's try. When I got to the college, to the chemistry class, I went out saying, I remember I told my mom, if I don't get out of this class, I feel like I will kill somebody, but not on purpose. It's because I don't get it, I don't like it, and you know, that would be irresponsible for me to do something to perform something that I don't know, and I will harm some people doing that. And she said, I don't know why you are doing that. Nobody told you that. You can do whatever you want. That was like a click for me. Mom, I want to do arts. And she said, okay, so do it. So I went, I looked for information, and something that I like to do at that time was teaching. Be a teacher, coming from a family that most all of my family members are teacher. That was really interesting for me. So combine those fields was really interesting, to the point that today I love it.
And that was a way to earn money too.
Yeah, because arts is not like when you go to the working field, it's hard for a person that doesn't have any budget. Mm-hmm. You have to start from somewhere.
Yeah.
So it was for me like how I say it, surviving, living to pursue my art career.
So what did you start teaching at the time? Like workshops and, you know, like public schools?
Public school, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I worked like 13 years being art teacher in the public school system.
Okay.
And then at that time, after that, I went to, there is in Carolina, Puerto Rico, there is a school of arts. It is called Bellas Artes, Fine Arts School. And I was director of the fine arts area. But when I have my youngest son, at that time it was really hard because he said, in 3 different hospitals. He was doing a lot of work. My work, it was really, really demanding. So at that time, I took the decision to do something by myself, and at that time we decided to do a school for art, and I changed the work and start with the School of Art. It was so good, but after 2 years at that time, the financial and economical things in Puerto Rico start to change. So all the community that I have, their parents decide to, when you have to make sacrifices, start with the
Kids art school is a real easy one to
kids
pick.
activities. So it was really hard, really hard, because in the community, in the students, I had different situations. I had kids that tried to suicide, and then through the arts they develop interest in different things, and they get out from those actions. And then I had autism students, spectrum of autism, that through the arts they develop the different skills, and they love it. It was really hard decision for their parents to take off the school, and for me to close the school and migrate. So it was really hard, because we were having a great time there. We saw different loves too.
I think that times give you more knowledge, and you start to see everything from another perspective. And in my opinion, I think that is sad, the way the educational system is being moving with the art, and the way they are conducting in the schools these days. To be honest, I have kids in the school system. Our youngest is going to graduate this year from high school, and the oldest is in college. He's in college already. But it's sad the way you said. I understand the importance of reading. The way I see over here is reading without any purpose. They are not discussing any of the lectures that they're doing. They're not the readings that they're doing or anything. It's just to read. Just get a book and read whatever. I don't know what you're reading, but read. But there's no interpretation. There's no comprehension on what they're reading over there. They don't. When they just give it a test and see how they are doing. These kids on these days, and I would say anytime, some of them start to struggle because it's hard for them to put together what they want to say, or how they understand the comprehension on whatever they read, and they are not testing the intelligence the way they're supposed to be doing. There's different type of intelligences, and you can produce and represent the stories that you've been reading in different ways, and not only verbal. You can build art, do something, and express yourself, do a dance or whatever, showing what you read in those books to express that. Being in the medical field these days, I see the struggles of most of the kids these days, and I think that every time the school system decides to close a position on the art, are killing the opportunities for the kids to succeed in life. And it's sad, because I don't think that everybody will be a doctor or an attorney or whatever, but art will open the doors for the architecture programs, or different drafting, engineer, or whatever. I remember being in med school, and that's one of the areas that probably makes the click. Art is very important. One of my anatomy teacher was telling me, if you don't see what you're reading in the human body, throw it. So if you start to draw, you're gonna keep that in your mind. You know, there's no words to say, but you make a draw over there, you're gonna get whatever you want. And I said, oh, that is very interesting, you know. And I think in these days, these kids, they need to get more involved in the arts, you know, music, dance, theater. You know, they need to get that in the schools.
It happened to me when I was working at the school. I have co-workers, teachers from different subjects, and they come to me, "Oy, what we can do, because this student is struggling with the math or struggling with Spanish class, what we can do." And we started like a different art course competitions, and I taught them in the class how to you can apply the concept that you learn from math or Spanish or social studies in arts, and they were really enthusiastic about the idea that they performed really good. So the outcome was really good. At that time, we were living as teachers different ways to taught different subject to the student, and they were really interesting about the arts and the subject that they were taking at that time. So I think the arts are very important.
I think it's the thing that makes me sad about it is the fact that, like, I've never been very creative. It's just not me. Like, I'm not very artistic. I write okay. That's pretty much it. But at the same time, like, even if a kid just wants to do it, like you said, I mean, you're a doctor and you do art as like an important part of your life. Like, you have to teach kids how to do it from a young age. And then over time, they develop those skills and figure out what they want to do. It doesn't matter if it even turns into if they become a draftsman or if they are a lawyer. And then on Saturdays, they want to do sculpting. They should learn how to do it because it's a thing that a person likes to do. And school should be, in part, discovering the things that you like.
It's true.
And something really important, about 2 days ago, I saw in the news that the most unlikely professions is art.
Yeah.
I was really sad because through the art in school, you develop all the skills. I have students that doesn't take art right now, and they don't know how to cut paper or glue a paper. Yeah. That's really sad because through that class, you will develop all those skills, you know. It's horrifying.
Yeah, because also, I mean, like, how are you supposed to teach like high-level art if they can't do a basic sketch of something? You know, I mean, like, that's like a skill that you kind of got to teach early before you can start really anything. Because I don't know a lot about sculpting, but I assume, you know, you start with a sketch of something and then eventually you try and make it. So, yeah, you have to know how to basically sketch out something or how to manually construct the thing that you're doing, and that takes years of work before you can even get there.
It's very practical, really, when you think about it. Like, when in my art classes, we even sew. Like, we learned how to sew because we encouraged to do. Like, I actually sew.
Well, it depends. I don't know. Well, that's a weird one. That's actually a really weird one. I don't know. What's the past tense of sew?
I made
perfect.
like the logo of my favorite soccer team. Right? So, you know, I would have to pick different kinds of fabric and cut it and then sew it around, and so it was part of our art education because it would have to be something artistic. But then in your adult life, when you have something, you know, your button came out of your shirt, like you know how to fix it, right? You know how to sew. Or we would do all the kind of like sculptures with newspapers, so you can learn how to make glue out of, I don't know, flour and whatever, right? Like, you don't have to go out and buy glue because you know how you can make glue out of stuff in your kitchen. So it's physics, really, right? So, yeah, but...
And it's interesting. Not so long ago, we were watching a video of these people that they were going. They gave in a piece of paper, some crayons and everything, and they said draw something, and they said, I don't know. I used to do this when I was 5 years old, and they did the same thing with the kids of 5 years, and they were creating and doing a lot of stuff. They said, "Well, try it," And when they started to do those drawings and those scratches over there, they said, "Okay, that's fine," and they keep going, and they said, "I remember when I was a kid that I have so much fun doing this, and this brings me joy to my life," And it's hard as we grow, we put the art a part of our lives, and sometimes that can give you so much joy, and you can escape from the daily routine that you have. So
Yeah, it's like that like adult coloring book
exactly.
like thing. That was a big thing for a while. I mean, like
It still is, I think.
well, I don't know. I mean, my mother-in-law still does it. I don't know if it's a big thing. That's how my contact with it. She used to do it all the time. But it is like it's a thing from when you're a kid. And then you get nice colored pencils and you go out and you just color something. It's just like it's the same thing you used to do when you were a kid.
It has therapeutic.
Another tough English word.
Yeah, so we kind of come back to what we initially started with, is that you can heal through art, right? Like you can heal your nerves through doing coloring books.
Is everything. I've been in the medical field. I can tell you, some of the time I have patients with either dementia or motor skill problems after a stroke, and you're telling them, hey, just try to play with clay or plasticine or anything, or drawing or do something, and you see how they start to improve on those skills. Memory problems patients, they start to get more active and get engaged, and they wants to keep everything moving. There's one part of art that is being developing lately, is that part of the art therapy. Try to move the art through the elderly, try to make them to be engaged in activities. For arthritis, if you get a piece of clay, that movement is gonna heal. It's gonna heal on the joints area. So that's amazing.
But it's harder to start with, somebody who's never touched a colored pencil before.
But it's never too late.
But it's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late.
Believe me, it's never too late.
True.
So I learned that with Carmen, and my own experience. I have patients that every time they comes to my practice, and that they want to say, I spend a little time on. I have one that makes mosaics, and I love to do mosaics too. And we spent probably 10 minutes up talking about mosaics, and then, okay, let's go to your ailments over here and see what's going on over here. But it's very interesting to have that type of conversation, and I think that everybody has to be involved in art one way or the other, even if you don't think that you have the ability to create, at least to admire and observe, and a good piece of art is being involved in the art world.
That sounds like a wake up call for you.
I think it is. Might be. So throughout your practice, because you weren't doing art as like a normal part of your job, how did you find time to still kind of do some artistic outlet?
That's a good question. Pretty much right now, sometimes I try to get sometimes to be involved of that. Most of the time I've been helping Carmen create her artwork, because the medium being working by herself is hard. Sometimes I have to carry and help to hold something.
Actually, we're working on a big one. It's in front of the house.
Yeah, I figured that was what it was.
I want to show you later. And it was, in some point I tried, obviously, but in some point it turns really heavy for me. So I told him I've been working all the day, and after hours, yeah, I asked him, please would you help me? And I said, well, obviously. So, yeah.
I come and gradually work on that area, but sometimes I need to get that time to try to decompress of what I have during the day. The medium that I work is pretty much class, trying to deconstruct or construct with art with the class, and I enjoyed a lot of doing mosaics because I have to crack the glass over there and break the glass. It's so relaxing.
Yeah,
So
sure.
after a whole day listening patients complain, you say, okay, I need to get something, I need to relax. I come and try to get sometimes 1 hour, 2 hours is gonna be good enough for me to try to get that. It probably will take me forever to finish a piece of art because I'm not in that rush like the artists that I have an art show that I have to expose and I have to do that. So for me, it's relaxing. Working 1 or 2 hours probably is gonna be good, So and sometimes during the weekends, If not, if I spend a lot of time, she's gonna pull my ears and say, "Hey, come on over here. I need you over here." So, but it's good, and helping her in her artwork is fantastic, because I know that. Because I understand what she's doing, she can relay on me, and every time she's working, and she says, "What do you think about this? What do you think about that?" She has the critiques, and believe me, I'm a hard critiquer, and my kids are 10 times worse than I am. So if they are not pleased with what she's doing, I say, this is not done. You need to go back and work. So we are the most critic persons for her, so I think that she feels the pressure sometimes.
So what's your process for starting a new piece?
Well, the concept that I'm working is very important. So from a concept that I developing, I start with a drawing to design, and after that I determine obviously all the logistic to do the piece and work with the different materials that I need, and start to work doing the construction.
So since you do metal work, do you do welding? How do you get the metal pieces?
Yes. I use power tools, plasma cutter.
Oh,
The
okay.
arc welder, yeah. No, it is heavy, and it's like I have to do like a protocol, to be safe. But it's really interesting. I love it.
So have you always worked with that kind of really heavy equipment?
Yes. But I do pieces from this size, small size, medium size, and the most tallest size that I'm working on it is 8 feet right now.
That's pretty big.
Do you do it at home? Like all this metal?
Yes, because when I was in Puerto Rico, I was working there. I have to stop to have my kids, raise them. We came here, and about 5 years ago, I started again in the field with participating in different exhibitions, collective art show. And I have to establish the workshop here because it brings me the opportunity to keep going with my kids. As a mom, I was like a soccer mom, so I have to stop working, take my kids to the different activities, come back, do homework, and go back to a workshop, work for at least 1 hour, 1.5 hours, stop there, come back to my
Yeah,
kids.
it's
So
easier if you can just walk to the garage, I guess.
Yeah.
It's gonna be yeah.
So all these tools and everything is in your garage?
yes.
Cool.
We are planning to build a workshop in the backyard, but it will take just a little more time until we finish with our kids because they are getting to college. We have a senior that will be in college next year, and I have my oldest daughter. She is finishing her bachelor degree, and she pursuing a master degree. So we'll see.
Where did she go?
UNF.
Oh, that's where I graduated from.
Oh, I love that college. I love it.
Oh, man, that's the best. I love that place.
Oh yeah, you have the style, yeah. No, I love that school.
The class sizes were so
No,
small.
it's beautiful, beautiful.
beautiful
She was
campus. It really
thinking
is.
about to get into Gainesville, UF, but
Mhm.
I was there, and it's pretty much for graduate students.
Yeah.
The UNF provides you the familiar, the friend, freshman family environment. It's really good. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But my son, he wants to go to FSU
Oh.
in Tallahassee because he would like to do political science. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's nice if you're in the capital of the state. If
Yes,
want
There
to
you
do
go. He
political
wants to
science,
do
it
law
makes
studies.
sense.
So
That's what my husband did.
Yeah.
He did international relations with
Oh.
some political science classes, and as far as I know, he liked it. So it's a good place.
but he wants to do law studies, or
Oh no, he changed his
Oh, okay.
career
Okay.
paths a little bit, but
Mhm.
he liked it over there. It's a good school, and I think like for political science especially,
Yeah.
since it's just right there. So
Yeah, around the
Yeah.
corner is the
we did
state
the
house,
college
so.
tour, and we like it too. And my son is crazy about that school.
It's
so we'll
passionate
see.
about that, so we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So when you guys first moved here, what part of have you always lived in Ocala? Did you ever live anywhere
Yes.
else?
No, we lived over.
Okay.
Oh,
We
okay.
came from Puerto Rico straight to Ocala.
To this house or to?
No, we rented an apartment for the first 6 months, and then we got the house over.
Oh, okay.
So it was about 13 years ago.
Okay. So what did you think of Central Florida when you first moved here?
Remember, I came from a countryside town, and he came from San Juan, a big city living. So when we came to Ocala, for me was, oh wow, I'm in my environment, so peaceful. He was
Suffering.
getting
Yeah.
crazy because the people here used to call slow Ocala instead of Ocala because it's so slow living here. But we learned to love it. I feel very good here. He learned how to love it. Being in central area, it's pretty much when we feel the need for different thing. We just travel to Orlando, to Miami, spend couple of days, and then okay, it's time go back to our peaceful town.
I think that we find that the convenience to live over here. Actually, I think that and I'm not wrong. We are in the heart of Florida over here, pretty much. And when you measure the distance, I'm from about 5 hours from here to 5 hour and a half from here to Miami, and you are 5 hours and a half from Atlanta.
Yeah.
So I am in the middle of everything.
Right
so
in the middle.
I'm in the epicenter of everything, so I can go wherever we want to go.
That's true.
So yes, as she said, it was a little harder for me to try to get used to work over here. When I start to work over here, I would start to work in the prison,
Oh.
and it was hard. I was driving to work, and I just remember one day I was calling her. I said, I don't know what I'm doing over here. I drive and I see to my left and I see cows here. I drive I drive and I see to the right side and I see horses and this and a lot of trees. Where's the buildings over here? I have nothing. San Juan is full of buildings. And you said, if I get lost over here, I don't know where I'm gonna be because everything looks so similar.
Turn left at the cow.
Yeah.
What's
So there's no
the thing to
landmark
do?
exactly. So
I was lost one time, and I called him. Oh my God, I don't know where I'm going. And he said, "Where you are? Where you at?" I don't know. I see green trees, cows and fences,
and fences.
wood fences. I don't know.
Can you see the water tower? How far is the water tower? Yeah.
That was no water tower. So Willie was far. I was saying, are you getting to Miami?
Drive any direction, tell me what city you are, and we can figure out how to get back.
I just remember in that phone call, I said, I would cry if it was get dark over here in this road.
Especially when they look at the Spanish moss and those trees. Like
With the time you get used to that, and you know where you're going and wherever you have to go. And right now, as she said, every time we want to have a little more sense of city, we go down to Orlando and get anything. We go Kissimmee, all this area. Can't stand Miami much, so
I'm right there with you.
and
Not great.
and or going north, having our daughter on UNF, you go to Jacksonville and you have some other activities.
Fun, yeah.
Although I have to say, Ocala is been growing lately and is getting into the spot again, and they are growing in different activities. Our community over here is growing.
But it's still a good place to raise a family, give you the time to raise your kids, and so that's for us as a family, it's very important. But for a bachelor or a single woman, I don't know.
Yeah, probably not a great spot.
No.
Single woman in Ocala.
Probably in 10 years will be, but I don't know right now. So
That's true. Yeah.
right now it's for families, and I
We'll
think
see.
this is the good a way to go right now. It's just a good place to raise your kids. You live with that commodity to have this tranquility and a peaceful on this area over here. Yeah. So.
And as Hispanic, being a Hispanic and then in a Hispanic community, it's kind of we always felt like we were welcome in the community, and the community itself is very into different activities, cultural activities. Now in the city are developing a lot of diverse activities. So it is good to spend the time in being in a community like this to develop different activities for different ages in the community, especially with for me as a teacher with the students and youngest people. So it's really good.
So is there like a Hispanic or a Puerto Rican community in the area? Is there Puerto Rican restaurants or any of that kind of stuff around here?
It used to be.
Comes and go, yeah, but we know that there is a Hispanic community in Marion Oaks.
And the Shores has
and the Shores,
one.
yeah, but it's kind
the
of
Silver Spring Shores has a little Hispanic community over there. It's very interesting. Ocala is very interesting place. We learned, that was a country where travelers comes and go.
Yeah.
So pretty much that was what's happening. I will say, I've been living here in Central Florida in Ocala for 13 years. And in the past 3 years is when we start to see the growth in the area. Very interesting, the Ocala area will be, they're building right now the biggest horse center, and they're doing a plaza. It's in 27. If you go online, if you go to YouTube, you will see it's gonna be a big arena for rodeo and everything, horse shows and dog shows, and it's
that will
it's
bring
gonna be the
a lot of
biggest
people
nationally over here.
Wow.
And that's going to bring a lot of tourism over here. Horse people are going to be moving on to this area. And I think that is going to be a good opportunity for the arts to grow, because these people are coming and they're going to be investing money in not only horses, but also in other activities. So Ocala has a very interesting art festival. Is the FAFO, and it's October, November that it runs. You know, and you know, you have all the community coming over here. Is very interesting because I will say, you know, living in this area of Florida, you will see during that art festival, to the holidays, you will see the community coming all crowd in the downtown area, and we don't have a big downtown to be honest. But it's very interesting to see everybody. It's very interesting to see everybody's coming, you know, and sharing time over there. So and growth in that, and see the community involved in that area. So welcome to. Yes, sir.
Do you normally have a piece out for the festival?
When I used to work as a teacher, I showcase. We use that showcase to showcase the student works, but not in particular, not mine. I do more museums and collective exhibition, but that kind of a festival is more for a mass production.
Okay.
So I don't think that I will be the good good subject for that kind of activities, because they establish a different booth for the artisan or the artist. But I'm not that kind of artist that do mass production.
Gotcha. So, how did you get connected to the art collective? How did you first meet them? How did you get involved? Things like that.
To the art collector.
The collective.
Diaspora.
Oh, to the diaspora.
Yeah.
I participate in the. Do you know the Ocala Center for the Arts?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that I start again with exposing my art, I participate there, and I met Marilyn Lobato, and she introduced me to Angel Rivera, Don Pedro Brul, and Jose Feliciano. And at that time they were planning to raise or create the group of diaspora, and they invited me. Angel invited me, and Don Pedro Brul invited me to participate, and we got involved in all the racing and the activities that involve the diaspora group.
So what was the diaspora group's activities at the time?
Pretty much showcasing the work. It was at the beginning, we thought that it was a good not organization, but like a good group to exhibit and expose and find places to exhibit and expose our art, and bringing the idea of what we are and who we are, the Puerto Ricans, and what we can do besides the traditional arts that like something pretty much something like this, that we are more than traditional arts. We have something more to say, conceptual, contemporary, and that was a good starting for the aspect.
Actually, when she showcases the Ocala art, and we met the people from the group, we were impressed with the shows that they were having. After that, they were having the show at the Orlando Museum. I think it was in the City Hall.
Yes.
The City Hall. She didn't participate in that show, but we met that and we saw the collection, and we said, "Oh, that's nice," because this is what represents us. as a Puerto Ricans, Puerto Rican art is very broad and very rich and very colorful. And I was talking to Carmen, and we always were dreaming, okay, we should go on and get a Puerto Rican art show in the museum here in Ocala, the Appleton Museum. The Appleton Museum is a jewel in this area.
That time, that was the beginning of what we present the project in the Appleton Museum. It was so interesting, the group, because it was so diverse in ages that we had people from 30 years
to 70s, so
to 80s.
80, almost 80s.
Because
Yes.
Don Pedro is 80 something.
It's gonna turn 80, yes.
So it was really interesting to see all the gap in the ages and all the creations and all the arts of having different backgrounds, being Puerto Rican, but some of them was raised here.
Jose.
Yeah, Jose and Maria
Felipe.
Ramos, Felipe. They've been raised here. Other ones just came from Puerto Rico a few years ago. So it was really interesting. But the common denominator was that we are Puerto Ricans, and the tradition, we kept the tradition through our family. So that was the main thing, the main important thing.
So once we saw that show, we say, okay, this is gonna be very interesting if we can bring this show here to Ocala, going to the museum. So I spoke to Anna. I say, hey, do you guys have proposals that I can take that show to the Appleton Museums and present that to the director? And he said, well, we're gonna be having one. So when we got the proposal, we tried to modify the proposal. So I get in contact with the curator at the moment at the museum, and I send the proposal. Hey, this is an art show that we saw. We would like to see this show coming over here to the museum, and we want to be involved. So long story short, the curator didn't contact me, so I made a phone call 2-3 months later. I find out that the curator was moved to another museum. So I said, oh, well, see what's going to happen right now. So I get in touch with the director, the museum director, and we got a meeting, and we present a more intense proposal for the art show. We have the whole complete collection with different artists. At that point, Carmen was included in the proposal with the sculptures. So we presented that, and I remember the words that she had. She said, "Okay, this is a great proposal, and with all these images that you're bringing over here, is talking more than 1,000 words over here." So that was very interesting, So she said, "Okay, we're gonna be planning this show, and we're gonna give you a date to try to showcase." So they said it was 2015 that when we went over there. So okay, we think that we're gonna be showcasing you guys in 2018. I said, "Oh my goodness, this is so long," But at the same time, we said, "Okay, this is gonna give us time to get ready," So we were worried because we were presenting some art shows. And what if these artists get sold? We're not going to be able to have that. So we talked to her, say it's okay if we present this, but if we can present a complete other pieces if you need, because if they sell any of the art, we need to replace that. I said, "Oh no, that's not going to be a problem." So we get in touch with all the artists, and they say, "Okay, well, let's start to work with that." After that year, we were working. We have also the confirmations to go to Chicago to showcase over there in the Puerto Rican Museum of Art. So we brought the show over here, and that was intense because we were talking to a new curator at the museum at the time. I said, "Okay, we were going to postpone the art show." Another year said, no. You told me that we're going to be showcases in September 2018. So we're ready for this show. Actually, the show is
Actually, yeah.
It's going to be departing to Chicago, and we want to have everything coming over here. And he said, okay, so we start to get everything together. So okay, we're going to be planning on this. So we went meeting after meeting, tried to get the logistic of the show. You know, we had at the end we have the opening at the museum, and it was an open receptions to the public. By the words of the museum staff, that was the best show that they had with attendance coming. They weren't expecting that much people in the opening. You know, the museum was so happy with the art show. You know, we had part of the art, the proposal include that was the director idea, a Puerto Rican night at the museum. So they make a big party at the museum, and that was packed also. To the point that, you know, I was reading one of the articles in the newspaper over here that they said that the economy in the museum went up, and that was one of the things I proposed to the director. I would like to bring the Puerto Rican community that is here in Ocala and beyond Ocala to the museums, to know the museum, because I think this is going to be something very important. You know, in Puerto Rico you have art everywhere, in the streets, on the museums, on the galleries, and everything, and it's very colorful, and we want to bring this color to here, to Ocala. And she got the challenge and said okay, and it paid off. You know, after all, you know, they were very happy, very pleased with the outcome of that art show.
And that was, remember, that was one of the commitment of Patricia Tomlinson, the curator. She as a curator, she wants to bring all the community diversity to the museum. That's very important. That's part of the culture. So at that time, she said that we did bring a good idea with the exhibition, and being part of the exhibition. It was a good post for the museum.
Actually, the museum is characteristic. The collection of the museum is more traditional art, and they have a good collection of Colombian and Asian and European impressionist artists over there.
Wow.
And establishing now a contemporary collection.
With this art show, they got the opportunity to bring more contemporary art to the museum. You know, and that was something that she was telling us. I say, people come to the museum trying to find more contemporary art, and they don't have any of this contemporary art. So this is going to be a good opportunity for us to showcase their contemporary art. So
there's probably one of the catalog,
yes.
yeah.
Get that over here. So they create the catalog for the museum.
Okay.
And
Do we have more there?
yes, I in the other side I have some. So that art show gave us the opportunity, the diaspora to showcase and
to expose, what we are, the Puerto Ricans, because most of the people doesn't know that we came from 3 different races, the mixture of 3 races. So that brought a good idea of where we come from, what we are, and in art field, we are more than traditional arts. We are contemporary, and we have a lot of things to say through our art. So it was really important, and we have a lot of fun with that exhibition.
Well, it's nice to hear that you guys have a good local connection with it, and it's nice to hear that Ocala has a really good art museum. I honestly didn't. I didn't know before starting this that there was an art museum in Ocala, let alone that it was worth going to. I'd never ever heard that before. It's really nice.
And it's we keep saying like it's a jewel in the forest, because it's a big museum It's compared with the Melbourne Museum.
Mm-hmm.
As big as the Melbourne Museum, but this one is credited, and it's the same
in the line of the Smithsonian.
the Smithsonian, yes.
Oh, yes.
Mhm.
That means I can, if you have a membership to,
I do.
well, that means you can go for free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be good to plan a trip over here and go in any Saturday or Sunday. You know, they're open. You know, from Tuesday to Sunday, and
Well, okay.
good time to visit over there.
Yeah, sounds like. So are there any other, like local exhibitions that you'd like to, that you have any like stories or anything that speaks out in your mind? Any ones that, other ones you had in Florida?
I'm working right now in a series of sculpture. The name of the series is Guerreras or the Warriors. It's based on different micro stories of a woman. And it's all the sculptures are based on different stories, and the series is meant to be like a voice for women in the society, and our role, the place that we take in the society, and as teachers for our family, the ways that some of them embrace the way to I don't want to say fight, but keep going with different situations, and they face these different situations, good or bad or anything. That series is based on that, the way that the women are seen, and the way that the woman see herself. That series is are 10 sculptures, and then one of them is the one that I'm working on. It's 8 feet, and that will be to participate in the Toscahuila Park outdoor sculpture. So that's coming soon, and I have more sculpture right now. There's one that is called Oráculo. Is here. That will be participating in the Pleasures Art Collective in downtown. That will be September
6th, next Friday.
Next Friday will be the opening. And then I have what I was talking to you, the Art Genie, that 5 artists were invited to make a art piece, and then the mixologist will prepare a drink based on the art work, and they will use the flavor of vodka Van Gogh. So it will be very interesting.
And you have the other show at the Lake Museum also.
Oh yeah, the Lake County Museum.
That's in Tavares.
In Tavares,
okay.
yeah. There will be due to the Hispanic heritage, they will do an exhibition of 3 artists. 2 of them Cuban and me from Puerto Rico. So that will be in
September
20th. Yes. And I participate right now in a project. It is called Mentor Project. And in the Opportunity Museum will be an exhibition of Cézanne, Van Gogh, Gauguin, and they were mentored to students. So based on that idea, that concept, the Opportunity Museum invite 3 local artists to be mentored for students from the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, okay.
So they will be, we will be working about for 3 months with them as a mentor in artists, in art projects, and it will be an exhibition of what they do. After all, in December. So it will be really interesting. I'm so excited about that because we will use like the exhibition or the concept of the artist showcasing, and we will be like a mentor teacher for the students. So it will be really interesting.
It's gotta be nice for you to get back to do teaching again. Too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the outcome, I know it will be really, really good.
Yeah.
I know.
That sounds like a great project.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions? I was gonna move into like wrap up stuff.
So you don't teach other than the project that you're working
I
on?
was teaching in a private school
in here in this
in Ocala. Yes,
Ocala.
yes. I was teaching, but I stopped that to be in the process of be working in the workshop because that takes me a lot of time, and for me it's kind of difficult. But I love to go back and start to teach again after this process of the workshop.
So what are the maybe different, if there are any differences between Puerto Rican
Students.
I really mean everything. Students, education, systems, a whole, you know, position of a teacher in the society, like everything around education process from the teacher's perspective. If there are any differences between Puerto Rico and here in Florida, and if there are, what would that be?
And there are, in general, there are not. The first thing is not look like a big, huge difference, but when you go to the details, you will see things that due to the cultural aspect. I'm the believer that here the students, American students, have a lot of creativity, a lot of sense of being creative, and the thing is that they don't have enough motivation, but that is due to the institution, the educational institution. I see the way that the education is treated like a business more than educational view, if you know what I mean. It's kind of difficult because the teacher here in Ocala are very struggle about to pursue and to accomplish standards, but not to develop a good environment in the classroom where the student can really learn and concept and apply. You know, so for me it's kind of different, but the culture probably give the student the way in some aspect to develop art and to create, to be creative. But I think it's the institution of the educational institution that doesn't help or doesn't bring good help to them. Everything is politicized and based on budget and who do the best standard to grab the budget. No, it's not. It's like they're not thinking about the student, the way that the student learn, the way that the student learn the concept, and the way that they should apply what they learn. It's in general, but the student from Puerto Rico, from here, I mean, the culture of the student is the same. If we talk about the way that they do in class, the way that they express the desire to learn, to be creative. It's really interesting, but some of my students from the last year, they were asking, are we the same like the Puerto Rican student? I told him, you are the same, with the same struggle, with the same thing, but you know, it's just that you need that time to you know, to develop your interest and your desires to accomplish anything.
And I have a question about the sculptures because we could see all three of them. If you can just tell us a little bit about them.
Yeah. Okay. This is Amazona habitata. Is the scientific name of our endemic parrot. It's like a parrot. Okay. She's. I call she the parrot or the Amazona habitata, as we call it, cotorra, puertorriqueña. It's living only in Puerto Rico, and this is like a nostalgic and try to just to show our colors, the colors of Amazona habitata, the nostalgic that she's the bird is in danger of extinction. So the way that it's placed and looking at the base it is like a flying and looking at the earth, our place, and it's to just to show the way that in a nostalgic way that she doesn't want anybody to stop her flying. And this is empty nest. It the idea and the concept came to the way that we have to migrate, and in some views the way that I was feeling at that time when my daughter went to college, so I felt that way. So it reminds me both things, the way that my daughter went when she went to college, and the way that we migrate. It makes me feel like an empty nest. And this one is diaspora. It's have like pretty much a shape of dandelion. Do you know that you blow and then spread the seeds? It's like the Puerto Rican. Spreading through the world, and that was something really interesting. I saw in a comedy show, one of the guy, he was saying that this is the first time that he saw when something happened in a country, the people spread in the world came reunited in the different places that they are to follow the idea and to express the situation. And that reminds me this, because we're the Puerto Ricans, we're still Puerto Ricans, but we are in this spread in the world. And he said, when you see something happen in Texas, the Texas spreading, the people from Texas spreading the word, you don't know where they are. But in Puerto Rico happened something, and then you see in New York, in Texas, all the Puerto Ricans are speaking real out loud to about the situation happening in Puerto Rico. So it is interesting. That reminds me the diaspora, that it means the way that we spread through the world.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about it. How did Hurricane Maria affect, your family in Puerto Rico?
They were affected, and the way that we all suffer, because they were without. We have all our family in Puerto Rico. Our
so
parents.
Nobody else lives in Florida. It's just you guys.
I have a cousin living here in Florida.
Okay.
But everybody's there in the island.
Yeah. So just at that time we didn't have communication with them and get to know how they were doing. It was horrible. So they were without any electric or utilities. It was awful. We tried to send some help for them, but it was really, really hard to do that. But they were in a bad situation, but not as bad. We didn't have any loss or anything like that, but they were in a hard situation at that time. But
it was hard in the sense that, you know, I'm gonna describe what they were telling to me. It's hard that, you know, you have money in your pocket and you can't spend the money because there's nothing in the grocery store. All the aisles are empty.
Mhm.
You know, and you're trying to eat, you're trying to survive. There's no power, there's no utilities that you can use. You know, they did not have any damages in their houses, but the way of living, it was so hard. There was no gas. They were doing lines to try to pump the cars and try to move around the island, you know, and try to go to work, doing this, doing that, feed them. Emotionally and physically, it was a drain. For us over here in the island, after much of the hurricane, you know, trying to get in touch with them, calling and not having any response because there was no ways to communicate with them. It was a hard time. Carmen didn't hear about her dad for a week. When finally she got a hold on him, you know, she was feeling relieved. I was lucky. My mom has to have one of the dial phone, you know, not analog phone, you know, and I for some reason I call and she responds, oh, we're good, we're okay, you know. I said, hey, can you go to Carmen's dad's house?
but they couldn't.
So
it was the breeze.
there was a lot of debris and there was
streets.
no way, there was no path for them to go and see what was going on over there. So finally, a week after, that's when she got home with her dad, and it was a relief for her. So that's why I create that piece over there that is con los pelos de punta, because that was where we were living over here. I remember that day in the hurricane, I was in the office and I was like, hey, what's going on over here? Where's the hurricane going? You know, and I was taking care of the patients. She was in school teaching, you know, and your body was here, but your mind was there, you know, and the aftermath, you know, those experiences that they were having, that it wasn't a joke, you know. Luckily, we did not have any loss in our family, but we have closest people that they did after the hurricane. Our dog's veterinarian, she's Puerto Rican, she lives here in Florida, and her dad, it was a neurosurgeon, and living over there, he fell, he hit his head, and because there was no way to communicate with an ambulance, he died over there, you know. It was sad, you know, because they said that the death pool was only so few, and with the time we were adding more people, and they were not recognized after all, you know. And you feel desperate, you feel the pain, all of these people during that time. Up to this date, you know, we're in the hurricane season already, and yesterday we have the menace of Dorian coming in. They were praying that nothing is going to happen because there are people living with hearts still in their roof, you know, that they are being building up, but it's taking so long, and it's very slow. One of our friends over here is a radiologist. Last year during the exhibition last summer, I was calling, hey, what are you doing? I'm just calling you to tell you about this activity, our activity that we were doing with diaspora. I said, oh boy, I'm gonna miss that, but I'm in Puerto Rico, I'm building houses over here. I'm sorry, I can't be there. I said, oh no, you're doing a great job because you're helping, you know. And he said, well, I'm very frustrated because everything takes so long over here to try to get everything done. So, you know, I think that, you know, that hurricane bring the best of us over here. And I think that was another time that the people outside the island were so worried. I'm not telling you about the people in Central Florida only. I can tell you about anybody around the world that is Puerto Rican. You know, they felt the pain to try to get in touch with their loved one and they couldn't. So Lin-Manuel make a very nice song about that. He's telling about all the municipalities on Puerto Rico, and they were trying to call them and they're not responding, you know, and they have other artists singing that song. That was a very good reflection of what we lived over here in the aftermath of the Hurricane Maria. So.
Sorry.
No,
Did you have something you want
I
to
just want to say, do you want to drink something?
Well, I'm okay. I've only got like 2 questions, and then
Then we'll make coffee.
Yeah.
Good Puerto Rican coffee.
So what do you think the future of the collective is going to be, or what do you hope the future of the collective is going to be?
Of the arts.
Yeah.
I think that it is a good effort to showcase. I feel that we will be expose what is our culture, what is what we are, and look for diversity. That we need a lot of this kind of activities and kind of groups from other countries, from living here in the United States. I feel like we need more of this. We need more places to showcase our work and to bring the idea of what we are and what we are doing. It's a good effort of culture to teach.
You know, friendship and
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is very interesting because right now they are getting together again to try to have. I don't know if we can talk about that. This is a project that is being in the making right now. That is coming. We have a date already. We're trying to put everything together. Anand is working on that area to the Orlando area. So it's still we don't have the whole details right now with us, but it's working for the next year to bring a bigger show of what we had here in Ocala. So this is going to be a great opportunity to have this show going. I think in the future, you know, my expectation is that is to get these shows in different places going across the world and say, hey, we're here, we're Puerto Ricans, we are part of this world, and we want to express who we are. We want you to guys to understand us, to know us, to share with us, to live with us, and have a good time, you know, create a better place, you know, with beauty and a story to tell about us.
So this is the last question I have. Do you have anything you want to add? Is there anything that you feel like we should talk about that we didn't talk about before? Anything you want to add or expand or anything?
Basically, this is our us.
Okay.
the way that we try to give something to the world, being a voice of culture, of our culture, expressions of our culture, to teach other age about our traditions, what we are, and God bless us to where we're going.
Okay. So I've got one final question that I ask everybody, and that's so like I mentioned, we're going to keep a copy of this in our archive. It's going to hopefully be there forever. So for somebody who's listening to this interview and say, or watching, I kind of sometimes forget that we also have it on videotape. So for somebody who's watching or listening to this in say 20, 30, 50 years, what's a message you'd like for them to have? Could be anything that's important. It could be about art, whatever you'd like to say.
Definitely. It's very important to learn, to know where you come from, who you are, in order to see where you're going. That will give you the strength to be respectful with other people, knowing who you are and where you come from. Give you the strength to respect other persons, other people, and to let you know and you can figure out where you're going. That's, for me, that's very important, and that's gave me the good being living here, and to see to be respectful with the diversity.
So, well, I know this is going to be probably seen in 20, 25 years, you know, and probably beyond that. So I just said, you know, the love of the island, it will never end, you know, no matter where we are, no matter where we're living, we're always going to be having a piece of Puerto Rico in our heart, you know, and we have to be proud of what we are and what we become. And for any Puerto Ricans that is watching this, you guys have to be proud of your origins, you know, and love the island the same way we love it.
All right. Sound good? Turn it off? Yes.
Turn it off.
Ooh.